Hey guys, Victoria here again. So we've got Miss Rennie, and today we're going to be discussing phase 2 e-collar. So there are 3 phases really to e-collar training. Phase 1, working level, layering over the commands. Phase 2 is adding distraction and matching the pressure to the distraction. Phase 3 is verbal command with only reminders with the remote. So no more prompting in stage 3. What you do have, especially with distractions, you have to understand that as your dog becomes more distracted, the numbers that you'll need to communicate with them will change. A good example of this is if your dog is sniffing the grass and you're calling them. If at 8 they were standing here like this and I called her, she would come straight to me. But if she's sniffing the grass, she's a little busy. Her mind is moving fast. It's stimulated in the grass. So we have to increase the e-collar pressure until we get ding, we reach her and she turns around. Usually that's increasing the numbers, however many it takes to get our dog. So a lot like finding the working level, we turn the dial and watch the dog. It's the same thing with phase 2. We're turning the dial and watching our dog for the response. So we're going to demonstrate that today. The cool thing is it rained, so when the rain happens, we actually get more sniffs and more smells. It just makes the ground smell better. So this is going to be really great for Rennie and working with her. So we're going to demonstrate this. We'll try to demonstrate it with all the commands, and the phase 2 with the dialing up of distracted works for all the commands. And I'll try and describe to you kind of the scenarios that you'll be using it. So get your footsteps. So we'll start. Again, she's at her working level 8, so I'm going to start at 8 and see if I need to dial up. If she comes at 8, fantastic. But if I need to increase pressure because she's distracted, that would be holding the black button and slowly dialing up on the dial until I get response and she turns around. So. You're so good. Rennie, come. Yes, good girl. Sit. So this is still working level stuff. Let's go. A good place to start is the grass. Get behind your dog. Rennie, come. Yes, good girl. Go, Rennie, come. Yes. Great. Good example. So I called her. I said, come. She was still eating the dirt or whatever she was eating. Let's go. She was eating something in the ground. I said, Rennie, come. I slowly started to dial. She got up and she came to me. I released pressure. She went back to the grass right away. I said, no, come. Increased pressure, and then she turned and came all the way to me. To give you an idea of where I ended up, I went from 8 to 14. So I'm at 14 now, so I'm going to go back down to 8 and do it again. Hi, girl. And then this grass here. Grass is a really great place to lose your dog. Let him go sniff and kind of get distracted. So we're at 8. Rennie, come. Yes, good girl. Yes. So she came at 8 that time, which is great. Okay. Hi, girl. Rennie, come. Rennie, come. really great example of dialing up again. You heard me repeat it a couple times. Rennie, come, Rennie, come. I didn't get any response. I was dialing up as I was repeating the command. I went up to 16, she ding ding, and she ran over because she was distracted. She was chewing on grass and really distracted. So you have to keep that in mind. I'm watching my dog, I'm not worried about the dial. 16, if she's not distracted, is not the number she needs. She needs 8 if she's not distracted, but 16, I needed to get her out of the grass. So you'll start to see, depending on distractions, what kind of numbers your dog will require. And this works really great for recall off of things. So you have a squirrel that your dog's staring at. We call, we dial, we call, we dial. They ding ding, turn away from the squirrel, come back to you. When they turn, you release pressure. Big thing is, go back down. Don't stay at your higher number, you gotta go back down. So, we will demonstrate again. Let's go, Ren. Come on, girl. So she's smelling something. Rennie, come. Rennie, come. Rennie, come. Rennie, come. Yes, good girl. Good girl. That was great. She got a nice whiff of something. So that was me recalling her and dialing up at the same time. I ended up at 31, to give you an idea. When she commits to me, the pressure comes off, but while she's kind of cruising and not paying attention, the pressure is still on and I'm still increasing until I get response. We'll do another one. Rennie, come. Good girl. Yes, you're entangled. Please. Nice. So that was all 8, because she came right away. Down. An example of how you would use this with your obedience commands beyond recall. Let's say you're saying down. Excuse me. Let's start with sit. Let's say you're telling your dog to sit, and she's staring at a squirrel, and you're saying sit, and you're not getting anything, but you're applying the pressure, the working level pressure, but she's staring at that squirrel. You would, again, be with a little leash pressure, slowly dialing up until it goes ding, she drops butt on the ground. They're learning how to turn the pressure off. Same thing would be for down. If you said down and they're staring at that squirrel, you're giving a little leash guidance, they're not responding to the working level, you slowly dial up until, boom, you get the ding, you get the light bulb, they lay down. Rennie, come. Good girl, come on, yes. Good girl, sit. Yes. Let's go. Good girl. Sit. Down. Yes. So this is working level. Back at the 8. Nope. Yes. So hold pressure because she got up. Release when she lays back down. Still at 8 because we're not needing to increase the number because there's not any slack, not any hesitation. She's giving us what we need right away. Rennie, come. Good girl, Beanie. Good girl. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Good girl. Nope. Down. So, nope. Pressure. Once she achieves it. Nope. Down. Yes. Again, bouncing back and forth. We're at 8. Just catching it. Making sure she stays in her command. Yes. Good girl. Rennie, come. Good girl, come on. Good girl. So I'm going to try and get her in the grass again. Okay. Come on, girl, sit down. So I put some kibble in the grass, again, to get her kind of distracted so we can practice this again. I want to be behind her. Oh, you ate all the kibble. Try it again. Ready, come? Yes, good girl. Good girl. Yes. So she came right away. I didn't have to dial up. Let's go. A lot of times you'll find that after you've had a couple sessions or a couple, Rennie, come. Good girl. After you've had a couple bouts of distraction and dialing up, that maybe the next time you approach that distraction, your dog is listening a little bit closer because they're aware, again, that you're around, and you don't have to dial up as much because they're a little more present, they're a little more aware. The issue you run into is a lot of dogs get distracted, and then it's just like all bets are off. I'm a crazy dog, I'm gonna just get excited and do whatever, They go to the dog park, they go crazy. There's somebody here, doorbell rings, all training's off, they're excited. So we practice around distractions like that so that we can have them listening a little bit closer when it is time to challenge them. So, Brittany, let's go. An example of maybe how you would dial up from place would be if you've got somebody coming in the front door and you've told her to place and she's standing like halfway on it but isn't totally, nope, down, yes, pressure, pressure. Let's say you put she's halfway on place, or she was on place, somebody opened the door, she's trying to get off, she's like halfway off, and you said no place, and you're applying working level pressure, but she's not backing up. Again, you slowly dial up, guide her with the leash, right back onto place. We're not getting as much of an example of that. If I get some video of that going on, I'll try and add it to this clip. But the big thing is, we're increasing pressure because she's more distracted, whatever it is. There's a squirrel, the doorbell, a smell, another dog. The working level's not cutting it because we have numbers in her mind are higher than 8. The numbers in her mind are higher than her working level. So it's all about matching the intensity of your dog. That's why we don't stare at the number. We look at our dog and see what kind of response we're getting. Okay? So that's basically how you're going to do your dial up into your obedience commands. And like I said, if I can get some of dialing up on an obedience command, I will. But recall is a really great example of when you mostly do it, because that's typically when they're most distracted. They're sniffing, they're running, they're playing, they're chasing something, and you have to increase your dial accordingly while holding the black button until you get the ding and they turn around and come back. So, all right guys, talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.